So I thought I'd do a video on most memorable products that we've received this year. We've actually received a lot of stuff this year, and short listing was not so easy. At first, when I thought about it, I thought, no problem, we'll just pick a few things that I really enjoyed, but it turned out to be a very long list. So I whittled down to just a few things that I really enjoyed, and then at the end I'll give you what I think to be the truly amazing products, especially for the money. Okay, so starting with speakers, because long-term viewers know that I love speakers. First thing that came to mind was the Wilson Alexia Vs and the Sasha Vs. These two are truly fine speakers. The Alexia V blew my mind because, to my mind, they sound significantly better than the previous Alexia 2s. And the 2s are very good speakers, but I thought that the Alexia V took it to a whole new level of performance. Similarly with the Sasha Vs, I did a quote-unquote rant about what I thought of the Sasha V versus the Sasha DAWs. Maybe Allison can put the links of these videos in the description box. I was almost depressed to think about the Sasha Vs and how it supersedes and significantly outperforms the Sasha DAWs. And a large part of the reason is because I love the Sasha DAW. It's one of those speakers that I could easily live with for the rest of my life. And the other thing that I loved about it was that it was designed as an homage to a wonderful, great person in our industry, David Wilson. He came out with incredibly great speakers, had this wonderful philosophy about authentic excellence, an idea that basically means staying true to yourself, not compromising, not giving in to economic pressures about making things that you don't believe you can and should be doing as a company, and so on and so on. And I loved the fact that Daryl Wilson and his team produced this wonderful speaker, the Sasha DAW, to commemorate and to pay respect to David Wilson. And then, of course, over time, so many ideas and innovations continue to come, and so they had to refresh it. So I wasn't so sure I was happy knowing that the Sasha Vs were coming out. But then when you listen to them, you can see, yeah, this is not only an evolution, but a significant improvement over the DAWs. It doesn't take away from the DAW, and that was the reconciliation, if you will, that I came to with the DAWs, but also being able to recognize and fall in love with the Sasha Vs. So those are the two products that came to my mind first. The other one is the Aora the VRC one. It's the new Aora Acoustics flagship speaker. So Val, the chief designer, called me up one day and said, can you come to my house? I'd love for you to hear this speaker that I've been working on. So I went to his house, and there was this big, huge speaker. Well, relatively speaking, it's not all that big for a top-of-the-line speaker today. But for me, because it was solid, granite, it was visually a big speaker. And when he played it for me, he gave me basically his tablet and said, help yourself. So I purposely stayed away from all the audiophile stuff. If you ever meet Val, you can ask him. I played strictly music, just stuff that I know I would enjoy listening to. And he said nothing. He just basically very quietly watched me. And I must have played an hour, 2 hours worth of music. Again, just music that I care about. And at the end, I turned to him, I said, yeah, it obviously not only does the audiophile stuff that so many of us enjoy, but it also communicates beautifully the soul of great music, music that may not be well recorded, but so well performed. And unlike a lot of audiophile type speakers that can do the whiz bangs and the stuff that impresses, but then when you play regular music, it just falls to pieces. Well, the VRC doesn't do that. The VRC can do both very, very well. So that was the other speaker that also was very impressive. The third one, the Mofi Source Point 10. This is a speaker that when it came out, what was interesting was you had a lot of people who absolutely loved it, and you also had quite a few that said, I don't get it, what's the big deal? And quite a few internet reviewers who for sure didn't care for it, and that's okay. Speakers, more than anything else, are probably more subjective than any of the other products that we sell in the industry. But I really like these speakers. I enjoyed the fact that they had heft in the bass. I loved the pinpoint imaging. I loved what they could do for not a huge amount of money. Controversially, certainly the speaker is more boxy than I would prefer. It's wider than a normal speaker these days, which tends to be more narrow. It looks more like a box, almost like a mini fridge, I think I called it. But for me, there was no denying the amazing performance, especially for the money. So kudos to the design team. Then the other one, the Sonus Faber Adi G5. So I was very fortunate to have heard these speakers when they were being introduced, if you will, I think back in Texas, about October of last year, so 2022. I flew down specifically to see and hear these speakers. And I was amazed at how these speakers sounded during the introduction. Sonus Faber had rented the top floor of this very beautiful hotel, big, huge space, and the speakers were set up so that they were about 15 or 20 feet in front of the sofa, and the sofa was actually against floor-to-ceiling windows. So if you imagine a condo where you've got this beautiful picture windows overlooking the city, normally in a setup you would have the chairs facing the window and then the speakers would be flanking the windows. Instead, they had set up the speakers so that it was the opposite setup. So the speakers did not have any kind of barrier to add to the bass or to reinforce the bass. Despite that, the bass was clearly extremely articulate, very powerful, reached all the way down. It just sounded superb. And then I was able to spend a few minutes talking with the the representatives and to learn more about the speakers. And again, if you want to know more, you can see my review of the Adi G5. Allison will link it below. When we got the speakers finally, sometime this year, I had already told the guys, you got to hear these speakers. And when they heard them, it was clearly a significant step. I know this is very commonly said all the time, oh, the new model's got to be better than the old model. Well, I can tell you this. When we got the Adi G5, I still had a pair of the previous generation Adi. So we were able to put it side by side, and I think we might even have shown pictures of that in the video. Physically, they look almost identical. They have almost identical dimensions. So there's no way to know that one speaker should sound substantially better than the other. But what I can tell you, without any hesitation whatsoever, anybody who heard the comparison immediately noticed the bass of the new G5 goes so much lower, so much more powerfully, so much more effortless in the bottom end. And yet you look at, from the outside, they look basically identical. There's no reason to expect that the bass would be so much more powerful. It's almost as if, again, the older people among you, like me, will remember your integrated amps or your receivers had a button called loudness. It's almost as if we pressed that loudness button and all that bass just came out. The mid-range, again, was also more beautiful, more articulate, more of everything that the previous one was. It almost made the the previous generation sound veiled, which it definitely isn't, but it almost made it sound more veiled and more compressed. So this new G5 Adi, spectacular. Same with the Serafino series. Okay, then the next speaker, the MartinLogan ESL15. Now, all of the ESL series, the 11, the 13, and 15, which we have one of each, certainly each one of them is wonderful, but the 15, wow. When I first spoke with Justin, who was back then the agent for the national sales manager in Canada for MartinLogan, he said, well, you know, the 15 is really ideal for a person with larger rooms, whereas the 11 and 13 would be for smaller rooms. And so I sort of thought that that's probably true. When we got the 15, wow. Sure, it definitely works much better in a big room because then the bass is allowed to develop and fill a bigger room better. But even in a medium-sized room, all of its virtues and strengths are clearly evident. You've got this amazing electrostatic panel that handles from mid-bass on up or even upper bass on up. So all the voices, guitars, pianos, most of the range of a piano, et cetera, are in the realm of the electrostatic strength. So the speed, the clarity, the detail, the transient response, the ability to hang a tall image, all of those things are in spades, just truly amazing. And yet, what was even more amazing to me was that the woofers were able to keep up with the panel, whereas in the past, I didn't think that that was the case. Well, they've done a masterful job with the Electromotion series, or sorry, the ESL series. They've done such a great job of being able to combine the woofer speed with bass and power with the speed of the electrostatic. So kudos to MartinLogan for achieving that. And then finally, can't forget the Magnepan LRS Plus. This speaker is crazy. Allison will tell you on a weekly basis we sell at least 1 to 2 pairs. This is crazy how great the speaker is. The LRS, the previous version, was already superb. They took this another level again. Just a phenomenal speaker. And when you put into perspective that it's $9.99 US dollars, $13.99 Canadian, it is unbelievable how they've been able to achieve such an amazing performance for that kind of money. And not only that, they've got, for the first time, optional stands that raise the speaker up higher and also makes the speaker more rigid. So for those of you who've never had a chance to hear Magnepan, my strong suggestion, run, don't walk. Go find a Magnepan dealer near you. If you don't have a dealer near you and you're in the US, I believe Magnepan has an in-home trial that you can figure out and buy a pair, try it, and if you don't like it, I believe you can ship it back. But they are phenomenal, especially for areas that Maggies are strong in. Okay, so out of all these wonderful speakers, I would say that, again, my criteria for performance and value would be the Magnepan LRS Plus and the Mofi SourcePoint 10. Now, all of the speakers I mentioned, dollar for dollar, in competition with products in its price range, they will easily hold their own. They will easily be at least the top 1 or top 2 in my opinion. But in terms of the money that you would spend, the Mofi SourcePoint 10 and the Magnepan LRS Plus, to me, undeniable winners and the most memorable for 2023. Okay, now let's go to electronics. The Eversolo DMP A6 Master Edition, simply because I haven't auditioned the A8 yet. The A8 has been shipping, but the distributor just cannot get enough stock. So although we've gotten a few, they've all gone to clients. I have not had a chance to hear it yet. But the A6 Master Edition, for the limited time that I spent with it, remarkable product. Wonderful streamer, wonderful UI, very, very good DAC. For the money, it's a spectacular buy. The other one is a Dago Momentum 400 MXV. Now, we've sold quite a few of these, but I've never had a chance to actually own a pair in the store because every time they've come in, they've gone out. So I finally was able to nail down a pair, put it on display, break it in, and listen to them. And as much as I have heard them so many times in so many clients' homes, boy, in your own system, with your own electronics and your own acoustics, just a fantastic sounding pair of amplifiers. And the crazy thing is that they look both simultaneously masculine and cute. They're not big. They're not like some of these big, huge amplifiers that we've got here. They're literally about half the size, but they're so dense and they're so powerful, and they're like a coiled spring. It reminds me of like a 100-meter runner who's full of muscles. That's what the MXV 400 sound to me like. Incredibly muscular, but with grace, with refinement, and love listening to them. They've got this beautiful top end, slightly on the musical side, slightly on the soft side. It's not, I wouldn't call it strictly neutral for that reason, but I love what it does. It's like, imagine everything that I love about MacIntosh, and many of you who love MacIntosh, the same thing. Everything that you love about MacIntosh, but then more clarity, more punch, more detail, more speed. And that's what, to me, the D'Agostino sounds like. Okay, the next one, ironically enough, the MacIntosh MC 451. So building on the MC 901, which is basically a monoblock amplifier, and within each chassis you've got two amplifiers. You've got the solid state for the bass and the tubes for the mids and the highs. Now MacIntosh released a smaller version called the 451. Same idea, solid state amplifier for the bass, tubes for the mids and the highs. And this amplifier is startlingly good. I still haven't had a chance to compare with the 901s. We've got both, so I'm going to one of these days compare the two just to see what they sound like. But boy, just a fantastic amplifier. For those of you who have speakers that can be biamped and the budget allows, this is an amplifier that you should check out. Is it the most powerful amp that MacIntosh makes? No. The 1.2K, 1.25 kWs and the MC 2000 kWs are even more powerful. Imagine an amplifier designed from the factory so that the gains of the two amplifiers are matched for the tubes and the solid state. They've designed with the crossover built in so that the tube part only handles a specific frequency range, and the solid state section only handles a specific range, and so they are optimized within their bandwidth. Just a great amplifier. And then last but not least, a Peachtree Carina integrated amp and the pre-DAC GAN 4 preamp power amp. Now, why did I include these? Well, we've certainly got lots of great integrated amplifiers and lots of great preamp power combinations. These two stood out to me for their value. The Carina as an integrated amplifier with a DAC built in, with superb different digital filters and so on, and the power rating. It's just a really good value for money. The pre-DAC preamp with DAC built in, and the GAN 4, the GAN FET power amplifier, the 400, also great combination. It doesn't have a lot of the Class D amplification characteristics that I sometimes find not great, like the coldness or the a bit dry. You know, better Class D amps have really good bass, but maybe it doesn't have quite the same kind of warmth. I don't find that with the pre-DAC GAN 4 combination, 400 combination. Now, here's the thing. I'm recommending and talking about the Peachtree, even though we are officially no longer a dealer. Peachtree stopped distribution in Canada, and so we're currently not a dealer anymore. We may still have one or two pieces left, so if you're looking for a deal, go on our website and take a look. But despite that, regardless of how distribution works, it doesn't take away from how good these products are. So I highly recommend these. So my conclusion in terms of value for money, as you would expect, the Eversolo DMP A6 Master Edition, as well as the Peachtree, the 2 units from the Peachtree. I would be surprised to find out if you own any of these things and you didn't like them for what they are. All right, anyway, thank you for watching this video. Would love to hear your thoughts as far as what you thought were the memorable products of 2023, and put them in the comments below, and we'll see you again next time. Take care. Bye-bye.